sure. I gotta say, man, first, it's great to have a chance to talk to you. And as we speak, man, are you in Toronto right now? Because I know originally you're not from Toronto.
No, I'm from Australia. I'm from
Mhm.
Sydney, live in Sydney. I'm from Byron Bay. Have been in Los Angeles for the last month
Ah,
and just flew into Toronto last night. So
oh,
it's been a bit of a
fantastic.
whirlwind, but we're
How
here.
how do you handle all those flights? And how long is the flight, say, from North America to Australia? Because recently in November, I flew from Toronto to South Africa,
How long was that
Johannesburg.
one? How long was
That
that?
was two planes, close to basically 19 hours.
Oh wow. Nah. Well, Sydney to LA is now you can do nonstop.
Uh-huh.
I don't think it was always like that. So I mean, it's 14 hours. So it's not horrible, but the fact that it's nonstop, you can just take a few sleeping pills and just knock out. I usually get the overnight flight, so it's easy. I honestly I grew up traveling all the time. Me and my family used to go overseas like every year. So I'm
Wow.
kind of like a seasoned traveler in that sense where I know how to sleep on planes, even though I am tall, I'm 6'4", so I find it hard to fit in some of the plane seats, but I usually I'm a good sleeper, so I can just like I could probably fall asleep right now if I wanted to. That's like I'm pretty versatile where I can sleep. So planes are pretty good.
That either says that you're an athlete or you're in the music business. This has to be one of the
Both.
two. And yeah, I was gonna say both. But what's your favorite? Is it cricket?
Cricket. Yes, sir. I that's what I grew up playing. I know it's not much of a thing out here, but it's coming a thing in the US. I've seen there's a cricket league starting up there, but yeah, cricket's my jam, man.
I've tried to watch it. I mean, my parents are Guyanese, so South Africa.
Okay.
So you know,
Okay.
they
There's
get
cricket there.
cricket.
Yeah.
I've tried to watch it. I tried to get it. It's like
Yeah. See, that's
don't
what
get.
the thing. Yeah, see, that's the thing with cricket is in Australia and like England and India and South Africa and
Yeah.
all the countries that like cricket is a big thing. You kind of grow up playing it and watching it, and as you grow up like learning something, it's genuinely a lot easier.
Mhm.
But cricket is an extremely complicated game, and if you don't grow up learning it and it's kind of like spring it upon someone, it must be extremely confusing. So I understand it. I definitely understand it. Like yeah, it's especially for you don't really have anything like cricket. I mean, baseball is like the similar thing to cricket, but
Mhm.
it's kind of like a simpler version, I think, of cricket. In a
You know,
sense. I don't know, but it's quite a complicated sport.
No, and I get it because it's like when somebody who's never watched American or North American
Yeah,
football or
exactly.
hockey and they watch it and they
Trying to
go,
explain that. Yeah.
"Yeah, I
What's going
don't
on?
get why do they stop?" Yeah,
That's
it
me.
makes it.
That's me watching NFL. I'm like, what is going on right now? Like I just I can't do it.
So here you are, man. You're the cricket athlete, but how did the whole music thing start to sink in? Like, where was the love of music coming from for you, man?
Well, I've always been around music. My mom's a musician herself. She actually studied music in Tanzania for years when she was younger. She's classically trained in like three instruments. So there was always music. I was always musical. She had me playing guitar when I was super young. I
Wow.
was like I have videos of me when I can't even walk. I'm like one or two and I'm just like tapping, making like sounds and beatboxing and all this stuff. So I've always been someone who's quite musical and I've just been around it my whole life. But when I sort of started getting a bit older into like high school, I kind of stepped away from music and got into sports, into cricket, into athletics. I've always loved being active and outside. So I kind of stepped a little bit away from music and focused on sports. But through sports and learning a lot of discipline in cricket, I once I started finding my passion again for music and like found out that look, this is actually what I want to do. I was able to take the discipline and the passion for cricket and kind of transfer it into music. And like I just grinded for like 3 years nonstop every day. Instead of doing anything else, all I do was make music and learn about the business and put all my time and effort into it. And now I'm in Toronto.
Now I'm curious though, when you were away from music, were you maybe still writing and maybe you thought you were writing a journal or maybe poetry, but didn't realize that maybe you're writing music, or did you literally just step away completely?
From from what?
When
From
you were when you stepped away from music, you were saying you're
oh
thinking
yeah.
about it and then you're doing the athlete stuff and whatever. Were you
I
still writing? Like, were you writing journals or were you writing poetry that you didn't
I've
realize
yeah,
could have been music?
I've always been a I was always like really good at my English class. Like I
Yeah.
was always really good at creative writing. I was always good. I remember one of my best mates went to a different school as me, and in one of his classes, I think this was like in eighth grade or something, and one of his classes he had to analyze a poem, like choose any poem you want, do some essay on it, right? And he actually analyzed one of my poems that I'd written for like my English class, and that was like, damn, like I actually am like a little bit of a poet here. But at that stage, I had no clue that that I was musical because like I was doing music when I was like 7, 8, and then like stopped when I was like 9. And this was when I was like 14. I'm like, I didn't even remember about music and wasn't even part of my life at all. But then I guess once I started picking music back up, it was kind of always like in there. And like being really good at creative writing, being good at poetry, it all just fit in really nicely.
So here we are. Let's split it up because I'd love to know what kind of stories did you enjoy writing about? And then I want to go to what were the beats, the sound? What sounds were you interested in?
Story wise, I like from I've always just been I believe I've always been a good storyteller, and being someone who's I'm very observant and being well traveled, being to like I've been to Southeast Asia, I've been to India, I've been all over Europe, and being able to see so many different ways of life and so many different people and speaking to so many different people. I'm a good observer and a good listener and a good storyteller. And I don't know, I like just writing about things I see in the world and things I see in people and different relationships I've seen in my life. And so like yeah, I like writing things that are relatable to people. And that's yeah, that's like kind of the writing side. And in terms of like beats, when I first started making music, I was very focused on hip hop. That was like my like early influences, like Kendrick Lamar, Travis
Mhm.
Scott, people like that were very like Lil Durk was a massive influence on me early on. Like this was I'm talking like 6 years ago when Durk was like not like the superstar he is today. Like these people were like I remember I watched like I followed a Lil Durk fan page that would post his like studio snippets. And honestly, that's like one of the main reasons I started making music because I saw these studio snippets of Lil Durk in the studio. I'm like, the feeling that must be to make a crazy song and bump it in the studio and it sounds like fire. I'm like, this is like super cool. I want to do this. I want to get into the process of making music. And as soon as I made my first song and felt that like adrenaline of having like creating something from scratch and listening back at it and like this is something that I've made, is like that's kind of like the thing that made me stick at it.
Were you building your own studio though? Were you doing stuff at home before, getting signed and stuff?
Yeah, so when I very first started making music, for whatever reason, I was embarrassed to tell my parents. I think because mom being like classically trained and listening to a lot of world music and a lot of like soul and a lot of, like rock, I was like being someone who kind of wanted to be a rapper, I was a little bit embarrassed of that. So when I first started, I grew up on a big property in like the bush, and I used to wait until my parents would fall asleep and I'd sneak out of my bedroom and go into like my dad's shed, my dad's work shed. He used to do heaps of work around the property. So I used to sneak out at like 2 a.m., run into my dad's shed where they couldn't hear me, they couldn't see me. I used to just sing. And in the shed, like this is Australian outback, like there's animals in there, there's rats, there's snakes. And I used to just be in there with my iPhone, my little iPhone, like the cord headphones with the microphone on there and just rap it into GarageBand. And after like a year of doing that, or maybe 6 months of doing that, I finally told mom, like, look, I really love this. This is like, I enjoy the process of this. And then I didn't have to hide it anymore. So I just like use my bedroom and got these like cheap speakers and kind of worked out, like, learn how to make beats and learn how to mix vocals. And I just cooked out of my bedroom for years.
Wow. So go through the process of now from there to getting signed. How did that work? What music was being created to get you to that process?
Well, I once I was, it's probably been like a year, and at this state, like at that point, I'd probably be making music for about a year, just grinding away in my studio, and I had garnered a little bit of attention from a couple of people in the industry. And I'm like, I kind of like started believing that, like, okay, this is kind of like a thing that I could do. Like my music was progressing really fast. I was actually getting to make music that I actually really enjoyed. And I could
Mhm.
see that, other people could actually like this. So what I did was, this is when like the Kid Leroy was kind of not not who he is today, and was like just coming up. I think he had like 70K Instagram followers or something. And he followed 100 people on Instagram. And I knew that those 100 people he followed were like key people in the Australian industry. Like they had to be, right? He's not just gonna, like, these people he followed are going to be the right people. So I'm like, all right, I know I'm at a stage now where my music is decent enough that I can garner someone's attention. So I put a song out on SoundCloud. I posted a snippet of it on my Instagram, and I followed everyone that Leroy followed. And one of those people is my manager today, still 4 years later. And I'm like, from that, like from the 100 people, maybe 20 people saw my stuff, and those 20 people were all key people that sort of sent my music to other people. And one of them was like an A&R for Warner, one of them was an A&R for Sony, and then my music started circling. This stage, I've already put one song out on SoundCloud, and I'm like 17 and making music in my bedroom, and all of a sudden, like, all these labels are hitting me up, being like, yo, I'm really interested, like, you need to, like, what else music you had. So I sent out this Dropbox link to someone, and then the Dropbox started circulating, so all these like labels would listen to my unreleased music. And at that stage, I was just entering my final year of school, and I'm like, look, I was a straight A student too. Like my parents were really strict on that. Like, you gotta knuckle down to school for anything else. And I'm like, look, this is what I want to do. Like, I don't want to go to university. I don't want to become an engineer. I don't want to do the traditional route. Music is my plan A, and my plan A is the only plan I'm going to have. So I'm like, look, if I can spend this 6 hours a day instead of going to school, if I can spend 6 hours a day working on my music career and learning about the industry, um, then I'm gonna, like, this is gonna be reality. So they were super supportive, and I left school before my final year. And eventually, Warner Music with a obvious fit in terms of label, and they've been incredible for the last few years, and now we're here.
Now this is the interesting thing because you got signed by Warner Music. I'm speaking to you through Warner Music Canada, which means you went international.
Yes,
How did
sir.
that happen?
Well, honestly, shout out TikTok for that.
And let's talk about that. This is the
Yeah.
important part. TikTok has been friends for a lot of people, man, in your
Uh-huh.
in your industry.
Yeah, it's a blessing, man. TikTok is an extremely powerful platform. And when it started, like, a lot of people, I was like, I don't want to be another one of those TikTok guys. I don't do TikTok. Like, I was like kind of boycotted like 80% of everyone else. And then once I saw people like in my lane way, and like my peers like starting to get some dope traction off that, I'm like, okay, I need to see what's up with TikTok. And I started posting beat remixes on TikTok, and it's like remake, like drum and bass remixes of popular tracks. And my second video got like 1 million views, and I'm like, oh, like there's something. This TikTok thing's actually dope. So I kind of just figured out the TikTok algorithm and looked at what other people were doing, and kind of found my own kind of lane with it, and posted like 2 videos a day for a year, and things just started to kind of rise. I don't know. Like, I don't even understand half of it. I don't even know why, but like, things just start going crazy. And for some reason, something blew up. Like, our song Boys Don't Cry went crazy in Germany and all over Europe. All off the back of these TikTok videos of me in the car listening to my song. And yeah, I don't know. I can't even explain how these things happen, but
What is that song about?
I actually wrote that song on TikTok Live. So one thing that I've really sort of like grasped is the live aspect. I saw these people going live, and because TikTok live is different to like other streaming platforms like Twitch, Instagram live, all these like YouTube streaming and stuff, where they actually put it on the For You page. So people can scroll, like people randomly scroll past random people's lives. So I was like, I can actually gain organic traction just from going live. So I would go live, hook my computer up to my phone, and make a song from scratch, and people will be able to hear me recording from scratch. And that was like that changed everything. And like as soon as like it was fed out to a few people on the For You page, I would get like 1,000, 2,000 viewers every time I go live. I get like I was doing it consistently for like 2 months. I get like 20,000 followers. And that's actually where I made that song Boys Don't Cry. Um, I went live and was like, what do I want to, what am I like? It was at a stage where like, I mean, we're still, I feel like men in general, it's like such a stereotype of like, can't show the emotions, can't cry, can't, got to be the bigger man, got to be a strong guy. I'm like, no, fuck that. Let me write something that's kind of like about the stereotypes around that. And with the help of fans, we wrote that together on live, and it was dope.
You're a genius. That's all I can say. You are a mad genius. Now you released your EP, and that was called
Beautiful Nightmare.
okay. And who was? Did you have other artists on that?
No, it was just me.
No, just you. I just wanted to double check because I thought maybe you had other artists on that, but that was just strictly you. And this
I
was
wasn't
released.
sure.
And this was released
This was
when?
in November last year.
November last year. What did it feel like having your own EP out finally with your music that you can say, hello, everybody. Let me introduce myself. This is me. What did that feel like?
That was really dope, especially because it was the first time I'd really released a bunch of tracks that I was really passionate about and really enjoyed. Um, I feel like, I mean, a lot of artists I feel like are in the same position where they don't really like their stuff they release at the end, like after they release it, like, oh, it gets old. But like that body of work was my first, like, really, I was really proud of that. And like even
Well,
looking back on it now, there's songs on there that I'm like, damn, like I did good here. I'm happy with that.
we're in
It was
2023, man. And so what do you have planned for us in 2023? What's going on now?
well, being in LA, finishing the album. Um, hopefully at the end of the year we can see an album. I've been making the best music of my life. It's really, yeah. Man, I'm excited. I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, it's gonna, yeah, I'm excited for everyone to hear it.
Are you ready for the roller coaster? Because when you see people like, our Shawn Mendes and what he's gone through and so many other great artists at your age, are you ready for that roller coaster? Because man, it comes in hard and fast.
I think so. I mean, I don't think you can ever be ready, to be honest. I think even like this whole journey that I've been on, and even being here in Toronto, like it kind of doesn't really seem real. Like I'm kind of living it in a weird way where like in a 5 months time I'll look back and I'm like, damn, was I really in Toronto? Like what, like I feel like that's just gonna happen my whole career. I feel like it's like it'll be incredible and I'm super grateful for it, but at the same time I don't think it's ever gonna really feel like extremely real. I kind of just like cruising through it.
Brother, you deserve this. You absolutely deserve this. I am so happy for you. And I love the way in a lot of ways, I think you've created a formula. Now, whether it works for other people or not, it definitely worked for you, but you have created a formula, and hopefully, your road is going to even be able to help other artists. As you
And
go
that's
down this road, man, what advice can you give those artists who are going to, one day follow in your footsteps, man?
be genuine. Like that's one thing that I really learned is don't try and be like what someone wants you to be, or don't try and be like someone else. Like if someone's looking up to me and wants to do what I'm doing, be yourself. That's all I did was, be myself and make the music that you love to make the content that you like to make. And as cliche it is, just work your fucking ass off. Like seriously, I was in the studio every single day making 3 songs a day for 2 years, and as long as you better yourself every day and work on your craft and don't worry about what this person's doing, what this person's doing, don't worry about where this person is, as long as you are bettering yourself and making music that you love, then people are going to love it.
Amen to that. One very last question. I know we got to wrap this up, but one last question. Is it true? I've seen these videos of people living in Australia where they could turn around and some gigantic snake comes out of their, like, pipes, or, if they left the door open, some kind of creature that I've never seen before just kind of wanders in. It basically says, yeah, this is my house now. True or untrue?
True to a certain extent. I feel like it's a little bit of like, we have animals. We have some crazy animals, but we no crazier than out here or in America or in Europe. I think it's just like they're different. There are some crazy snakes, but I don't know. Like, I feel like it's a little bit of a myth, to be honest. If you grow up in the bush, there's some stuff, but where most people live, like in the cities, there's nothing. Most of the scary, big spider, deadly animals are all in the desert where no one even is. So it's not really an issue. But
okay, good.
we did, like, growing up where I grew up, like we had a few snakes that just kind of made their way into the house, and we called them, Jim and whatever. They were the pet snakes.
Because the way I see these videos, man, they make it out like it's gonna take over the family. You're never gonna see them again. It's like,
most of them are harmless too. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe I'm just used to it because I'm in Australia, but I feel like it's more a myth, to be honest.
Well, all I can say is, man, watch out for the beavers. They look friendly, but man, they have a nasty.
See, that's what I mean. The raccoons, like that. I'm like, we don't have these in Australia. Like I'm kind of scared. Yeah.
You should be. Man, it is great talking. I hope one of these days that we can meet in person. Congratulations on the music. And let's definitely talk when you release the new music, hopefully towards the end of the year. But all the best for you in 2023. And I'll throw it out there, man, in 2024 as well. Congrats, man.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.